I'm over a lot of associates. I am a key carrier. I'm the social distance captain. I am the backup for the HR person.
Oh,
In fact,
wow. My
it's,
goodness.
it's really kind of funny. And then on top of that, of course, I still do things with my books. I still sometimes edit people. So I've had various organizations who've asked me to edit. The interesting thing is that, of course, you know me from my books. I do have 18 novels. I have a collection of devotional type inspirationals that I put together called May I Have a Word with You, from a bunch of the columns that I used to write for the Birmingham Times. That's still kind of out there. But at one point, God had me to kind of pull back, which, God sees things ahead of the time before we see
Yes.
things. And so even there, it was like the publishing world was going through some different changes. And it was just in my spirit where he was basically just telling me not to quit, but to just step back. So in my stepping back, of course, we saw all the things that have happened. You probably know quite a few authors who were out there published by major publishers,
Yes.
as I was published with Kensington, and a lot of them either didn't sign again, they weren't asked to sign again, or they decided they were going to just go back into self-publishing, and they kind of stepped back from that world in a different way. And I think a lot of it is because we are trying to see if they're gonna, I'm not gonna say make up their mind, but they're trying to figure out what they're gonna be doing. So
Yes.
because at one point they were like, okay, let's do ebook. And then they decided, okay, well, maybe we'll do ebook and both, because they were going heavily toward ebooks because they thought most people didn't want to read paper books like they were. And so you've had a lot of them where, from a business standpoint, they were probably financially trying to make sure they could survive as well. You had a lot of bookstores that were closing. And then, of course, we all know 2020, around this time, almost at this particular time, that was when COVID-19 hit in a big way and things just shut down. And so, so I just see God always, that what they say, he has a way of escape. But I also
Yes.
think there are times where we'll be like praying to God and we tell him he reigns and that we're going to follow him. But when he's doing things, we like, well, that ain't what I expected. That's not what I wanted. And I just say this, God does not deal in, we look at linear or time as though it's going this way. God said, I see all of it. He sees things before we get there. So God would say, I'll do something that's going to protect you before you even know you need it protecting. And so he will do things to put us in a position, if we are willing to follow him,
Yes.
willing to hear his voice, willing to do the things that he is asking us or directing us to do. So, so that's the thing that we really need to understand, and just say, okay, God, I know I prayed for this, but then he decided something else. And when we do that later on, we can look back and say, I see what you were about. I see what you were doing. I'm good with, oh God, you are so good. God, you are so awesome. And we know, you and I both know, we already know Romans 8:28, all things work together for the
Yes.
good
Yes.
of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So the thing about it is that we realize that. And for me, I'm like just always checking with him and saying, okay, God, what am I supposed to be doing now? What am I supposed to be, and even at this point in my life, I'm still saying to him doing this day, it's like, okay, God, for the rest of the year, certain things I
Right.
might want to do, but I am following his lead. So, like I said, still have my books, still have some books that I plan to have out there for people to purchase. One of my hope, dreams, and my faith affirmation is about having movies and having television series from my books, from my characters. I got that Pastor Landris, and I always
Yes.
have some
Yes.
preacher in my book. So that's one of the things that I still believe God for. Anyway, so I'm gonna let you come back at me. Come on.
No, I love it. You know how much I enjoy listening to you. As of this point, what would you say? We know that there's so many more things ahead that God has planned for you. But as of this point, what would you say is your greatest achievement?
Oh, see, sometimes when people hear things, it's like that religious part. My greatest achievement, you could say, and I think sometimes we like to go, oh, it was when I gave my life to the Lord and me following. But it's like, for me, my greatest achievement is always daily. It is being in the place that God would have me to be. It is, I could say, oh, it's my children. I could say, oh, it's the person I married. I could say it's the foundation that we have built. I could say that my greatest achievement are the books that have been published, or the places that I have spoken, or the people that I have met. My greatest achievement to me is every day waking up knowing that there is something that I'm supposed to do that's going to touch somebody's life in a positive way every single day. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Okay. What would, when you became a mother, okay, how did becoming a mother impact your life dreams? Did they, because you had to put things on hold, or how did that work for you?
Well, I mean, the truth about it is, anybody who knows anything about being a mother, we are a lot of times we'll take the back seat to make sure that our family is getting what they need. I'm gonna tell you something that I'll tell my children sometime now, and a lot of people don't realize this, but when you first get married and you have children and you have this responsibility, there are times when you may not have enough money to buy enough food. Okay. And I remember there have been times where we might not have had enough money for food. And when I say that, I'm saying that, yeah, we can be, that may not have been that steak, it may have been, I have beans, but I would take those beans and I will make a meal and I would do certain things with them. As a mother, I told my children sometimes, I say, people wonder, there are times where I can go all day without eating. And people go, oh my, yes, I can do a fast. I can do the fast for 4 days, without having any food. But what people don't realize is there were times where I may have gone to work and I did not have money to buy lunch. I may not have even had enough money to have made me a lunch to take it to work. And when I would get to work, I might not eat for that whole day. And it wasn't necessarily because you just go, oh, I chose. When I say chose not to, it was like when mama, sometimes when we got enough food and I fixed the food and we really don't have enough, and you get that times where you'll say, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. Y'all going to get what you need. That impacts your life in a way because you realize that it's not just about you. So many people are thinking it's only about me. It's That's what right. I want. It's what I need to have. It's me being first. It is that narcissistic thing sometimes when it has nothing to do with what you might want to do or what you might want to have. But you're like looking and saying, I know that there's somebody else that I might need to sacrifice for. I remember growing up, my mother, and I didn't understand it at the time, we would go to Jack's Hamburger. And there was a time where there was the commercial where it said Jack's Hamburgers for 15 cents. It's so good, good, good. You'll go back, but Jack, for more, more, more. And then they changed it to where it was Jack's Hamburgers for 18 cents. And then they changed it to where it was Jack's Hamburgers for 21 cents. Then after that, they just stopped putting in the amount of money. My point is, we would go to Jack's and my mom would say, I'm buying you all a hamburger. And there was 3 of us. There were 3, at the time it was 3 children. There are 5 of us now, but there were 3 of us. It was my sister, Danette. It was my brother, Terrence, and myself. We would be in the car. My mom would buy a sandwich, 3 sandwiches. And this is what my mama would say. She would say, can I have a bite of your sandwich? I used to be so mad about the fact that she would say bite because we knew my mama wasn't going to take no little bitty bite. So we would give her, she wanted to bite from every single one of our sandwiches. She would bite from the sandwich. This is where I learned how to pray. Lord, please don't let her bite half my sandwich. But she would, get a bite of my sandwich, a bite of my sister's sandwich, a bite of my brother's sandwich. And I never understood why she just didn't buy her own sandwich. But as I got older, and I understood what it's like to have the mother who said, I don't have enough to buy 4 sandwiches, but I'm going to make sure you as my child get a sandwich. But at this point, what was smart about my mom is she would bite a third of mine, a third of my sister's, a third of my brother. And guess what? All of a sudden now, you almost got yourself a whole sandwich. That's right. Just by doing a third. Yeah. And so, I said, after I got older, I understood it better. I understood what it's like. I don't have enough money to buy me one and you. But as my children, I want you to have something. I'll sacrifice so you can have. So the motherhood part of me is where you find out that heart that was growing on the inside of you, that heart, and I look at your children where they go, the first heart they ever heard really was the heart of the mother. and, and outside the womb, outside when they're out here, you still hear the heart of the mother.
Yes. Oh man, I love that. I love that. Because as you know, I had started an organization called A Mother's Cry some years ago. And life happens. And it just kind of got put on the back burner, and I haven't really been doing much with it until the last couple of years. And I've had, a lot of health challenges and a lot of obstacles or what have you, but I'm still chugging along because there's such a need for, my main goal is to encourage and empower mothers, no matter what it is that your situation may be. If you are a mother, to me, motherhood is a ministry all to itself, because you learn so much about, like you said, about self-sacrificing. You learn so much about nurturing and nourishing, and it is like so important that you learn about not being just all about yourself, and making this ultimate sacrifice for your children. And so I love it, and I desire to encourage and empower mothers as much as possible. How many children do you have, Miss Vanessa?
I have 3 sons. My oldest son is here in Alabama. My youngest son just came back from California, so he's back here in Alabama. And then my middle son is in the military. He is major. He's a major in the Army. He is now over in Germany. I was supposed to have gone over there to visit before COVID hit, and like I said, we don't know what's happening, but
right.
But so I have 3 sons. What most people don't know is I've had 5 children as far as carried them. After I had my 3 sons, I was pregnant, never had any real problems. Now, my first son, I said at one point, I was wondering if he was trying to take me out, because I ended up where, my blood pressure went up, and I was in intensive care after he was born. I didn't even get to see him that very first 24 hours. So after I had him, I had not even seen my son until like the next day. But anyway, I had, like I said, had my 3 children, had them all by C-section. And then I had this 4th child I was pregnant with, and I ended up at 4, when I was 4 months pregnant, the baby's foot went through the amniotic sac. And anyway, I ended up not, I gave birth to him, but I was only 4 months pregnant. They decided to do that McDonald's cerclage on the next one when I was pregnant with. I went in fact, I had 1 week to go, and they said the baby would have had a 50-50 chance. But I ended up losing that baby on that Saturday before the Monday, where I would have, been enough time. But here's the thing. Even through that process, I remember a lot of that got to be a lot more about my faith. And so many people we pray and we ask God for stuff. And when I started talking to you, I was saying how there are times where we'll ask God for something and we're believing it, and then when it doesn't happen, it just kind of sets us back. I remember when I was with that 4th child, when things were going on, and I'm praying and I'm believing, and I end up losing the baby. Sometimes people say, well, you probably didn't have enough faith. And I remember, like, with the next time when I was pregnant again, I was praying. I was like, really, and I'm standing on faith. I know I'm on faith. So, it wasn't about the fact, oh, you didn't have enough faith. And then people sometimes would try to say, well, maybe it's something that you did, which I'm going to tell folks like this. I tell folks, it ain't about nothing that you did. It rains on the just and the unjust. So we have times where people will feel like things are going on in our life. It must be something else. No, it rains on the just and the unjust. But the thing about it was that with that 4th child, when I was pregnant, when I said 4th, the 5th one, I went through everything. And here's what happened. When I lost that child, I got a revelation. And I said to God, my thing at that point was I believed, and I said, God, I don't know. Only thing that I know for sure is that you are God. So I did that. And I remembered, I'm going to tell you something, to be very transparent. I had this vision that came. I was in my bedroom. It was 4:00 in the morning. And all of a sudden, I see standing in my doorway. And every time I think about it, chills just go through me. Standing in my doorway was like a cloud. And I saw a figure in the cloud. part where it was light. It was all this light, but all you saw was this silhouette type figure. And when I saw it, I heard audibly, even though nobody else could hear it, I heard where it said, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." When I heard this, now I'm being transparent now. When I heard this, was my stance at that time. I said, God, I said, I'm not messing with you. Why are you messing with me? I did not ask. I wasn't praying and saying, give me a sign. I wasn't saying, come talk to me. I wasn't saying, give me comfort. Because I was okay with, okay, all I know is God is God. But when I heard this part in the, that voice, the next day my mother tells me, she says, a lady was asking about you. She said to tell you the joy of the Lord is your strength. Okay, so let's just fast forward. I'm still not probably okay. I have this vision a little bit later, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later. I saw myself as though I went to heaven. And it wasn't like it was a dream. I went up to heaven because it was like clouds. When I say heaven, I'm talking about just the cloud. I'm up there and it was like I see both my babies. It's like an angel was carrying my babies. They were like just, hey, mom, how you doing? Just talking. And then I say to them, are you okay? Are y'all okay? My baby said to me, Mom, we're fine. We got the best thing up here. They said, we're worried about you. They said, you got something to do. You need to do what you need to do. Don't worry about us because we're fine. I did not realize at the time where it felt like I had gone to this place, but I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching television. All of a sudden, something happened on television. It snapped me back to where I remembered I had just gone to this place. I started crying. And when I started crying, at that point, my husband is like going, okay, what's wrong? She done lost it. And I got it. And my thing was, it's stuff for me to do. I am not helping anybody when you're like stuck in this stuff that's really, it's hard right now, it's hurtful right now. But my thing is, I got to be about my Father's business. I got to be about what I'm on this earth to do. God has me here for a purpose. After that point, I'm going to tell you this, every book and everything that you saw that came out, it came out after that. So I'm saying to anybody right now who needs encouraging, there are times when you'll have hurtful things in your life, but you're on this earth right now. And you're here for a purpose. And you got to keep pushing. You got to keep going because somebody is watching you. Your children may be watching you. Your friends are watching you. Let me say this. Your enemies are watching you because they want to see you crying and upset about stuff that's going on. And we got to be at that scripture where it says, when you have done all you can to stand, stand. So, so I'm at that place where even though sometimes I might get tired, even though sometimes I might be hurt, even though sometimes I might want to quit, which I'm not, because God didn't call us to quit. He said for you to keep going. He told you to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. He is telling us, I know sometimes you're dealing with health, and I'm speaking to you right now. There are some times where we are dealing with health things. Somebody is looking at you and they're saying, but I still see you keep going. I still see you with God. I still see you speaking the word. I still see you trying to encourage somebody else. And that's what it's about. Because when we finish here with all the things that God has given us to do, there's only one sentence I want to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Yeah, you had some challenges. You had some stuff going on, but now you were faithful over a few things. Come on up because I got more for you and plenty.
Thank you. Oh my God, that was so powerful. Thank you. I'm trying to keep myself together. That was, and this is why I asked you to be one of the mothers that I spoke with, because every day, like you say, every day you are open. It's obvious that your ear is pressed to the mouth of God and that your heart is open to hear him every day. And you are such an encouragement. A lot of people may not ever tell you that, but you speak life into people's lives in a time when we really need that. Every day, all day, the social media, the news, the whatever, is so much negativity going on. And it's such a blessing to be reminded by you that God is concerned about us and what's going on with us. And he has a plan. He didn't just start coming up with a plan when the pandemic started, but he had a plan for us before we were even born. And so, man, I tell you, you are just like, oh goodness. I'm trying to keep myself together, um, because I feel the presence of the Lord, and I'm encouraged. Just listening to you talk. I was talking to someone earlier about being a mother of Black children, especially
Right.
Black sons in
Yes.
in America today, and not just today, but it's been that way from the beginning. But it seems like
Yes.
in the last couple of years or so, it is like you're almost afraid for your children to go out the door. And
Mhm.
when and even though they're grown, and you know, I tell my son, I need to hear from you every day because you just don't know.
Right.
And as you know, I have one son who's incarcerated, and
Yeah.
he's constantly reminding me that police brutality and abuse of power doesn't just happen on the street.
Yeah.
It's happened behind the walls as well. But like you said, that we've learned how to put our children in God's hands and to
Mhm.
trust God to do what needs to be done in their lives. And so I was going to ask you, how do you feel as a mother of Black sons in this country today? But you already pretty much answered that question because they're in God's hands.
Yeah.
And you know, God gave them to you, and He's going to watch over them.
Yeah.
What is one, if there's one message that you would want to give to mothers, what would that be?
The message probably would be, and this is like even looking at myself being a grandmother, being a mother. My thing would be is that a lot of times mothers especially are very hard on themselves. Sometimes they will say, maybe I didn't do enough, maybe I didn't do it right, maybe I did. The thing about it is you are human, and being human, there are times where your children sometimes don't seem to appreciate you. You know, you got to get past that part. You got to get to, and it's okay sometimes to feel like you did not appreciate me. And I'm gonna say this too, there are a lot of times where children will try to mistreat you. I don't feel like you should sit around and be mistreated, because you know the thing about it is, you know, that two-way street. I told my mother the other day, I said, you know, you have a lot of times where you do have mothers that would be like, well, I brought you into this world and you owe me this. And I'm like, no, they don't really owe you, because you were the one that, I mean, I ain't trying to be ugly, but we were the one that had the sex. We were the one that
That's
brought them
right.
here. Yes, we're supposed to do what we're supposed to do, but the thing about it is, I don't look at, yes, you owe respect, you know, I'm going to respect you, but you don't get to abuse. And when I say abuse,
Right.
your parents don't get to abuse. You know, we have sometimes where you'll have a parent who will say, oh, you should do this for me. Oh, you should
Yeah.
do that for me because I did this, I did that. We made the decision. We
Right.
owe our children the best that we can give them. But the truth is, what I want for my children is go out and prosper. Go out, and
Yes.
when I say prosper, prosper in health, prosper in wealth, prosper in your family, prosper in doing the right thing.
Yes.
So my thing is that I raised you not for you to stay with me forever, not for you to have to be dependent upon me. I want you to go out there and do what you need to do to show society the fact of the value that I already see in you, the value that I already know that you have. But just as a mother, don't feel like because your children be like, you didn't do this for me and you didn't do this. Well, you know what? You're going to be all right. The truth about it is, some parents give their children too much. And when you give them too much, then they go out there expecting that the world owe them something. The world don't owe you nothing. They don't owe you jack. You know, you go out there and you try, you try to be, like I say, a good citizen, but we know we're dealing with things that are fair. And as Black mothers, especially, we have to, that's with whether it's boys or girls, but we have to like sometimes let them know it's not going to always be fair. Things are not going to, you can go out there and be the best worker. You can do what you should, and somebody else get promoted over you that shouldn't have gotten. Or you training a person that now they're going to go, oh, we're going to put that person over you.
Right.
But what you got to do is keep it moving. You got to keep, what Kim, keep it moving. I tell people, continue to do what it is that you're supposed to do. God, I'm putting this in your hand. I love y'all. Anybody who know me, know I love the story of Joseph the Dreamer.
Yes.
That is my foundation of everything that keeps me going, because I will look and say, God will give you a dream. He'll give you a vision, and he'll say at the beginning, this is what it looked like. So he'll show you what the end at the beginning. what messes a lot of folk up is he didn't tell you that all part in the middle. And that part in the middle will mess folk up, because he'll be like, yeah, I didn't tell you your brothers was going to try to kill you. They're going to throw you in a pit. They're going to sell you off to other people. And this is what friends and family do to us even now, that they're going to have you. They basically were not really for you. They jealous of you because you seem to be doing things or you're getting attention that they don't want to get. He didn't tell you, yeah, they're going to have you where you trying to do the right thing, and somebody gonna lie on you. They're gonna put you in prison. You know, all these different things. God did not show Joseph all of that, because if he did, Joseph probably would have said, oh, you can keep that other part that I see at the end. But see, I know God has shown me certain things, but he's not shown me everything that's in the middle. I say to any of the mothers right now, even with our children, sometimes you may say, oh, this child is this child is not doing that. God's like, when you already put them in his hand, God, I raised them up the way they were supposed to. I trained them up in the way that they should go. They already know what's right, what's wrong. I'm putting them in your hand. So when we look at it, we'll say, even though the world might try to hurt them, even though things may try to come against them, God, you already shown the vision. You shown the end from the beginning. Now we just got to go through that middle. So as parents, I want to encourage mothers, you have done more than enough. Sometimes more than you don't even tell everybody the things you do. You don't tell folks in the midnight hour when I'm crying. You're not telling people all the time, I'm praying for my child because I'm concerned. When they out there going, I'm grown. I ought to be able to go and come as I please. You know, there are some times where you have to say, yeah, let them learn early. Let them cut them. If I told you to do something, you don't do it, baby, you're not going to run over here. You're not going to run this house. You're not going to let the other children where they're saying, oh, I see you, letting them get away with that, because now you've taught the other children they can do the same thing. Sometimes there are times where, you know, we have to let them know, this is what we doing in this house. If you're not wanting to abide by the rules in this house, then you probably don't need to be here if that's what it takes. And people be like, well, that's harsh. That can be, you know, we do want to have it to where you want to be right. Come on back. You got a place here. Yeah. But I'm not going to let you be here doing wrong and think that I'm going to let you say that's okay. You're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to treat me in the kind of way. And like I said, to the ones who feel like I've done stuff and my children don't come back and let me know they love you, they're going to figure it out. They're going to love you. They're going to come back and say to you, like one of my sons told me one time, he said, Mama, I see what you're talking about. And he said, now it look like I'm doing what you were doing. But the truth about it is they're going to see. So just trust in that.
Amen. I love that. I love that word, because I talk with so many mothers on a regular basis who are at that place. It's like I've given literally almost my life for my children. And now they, you know, they're out there doing whatever they're doing. They don't call, they don't check on me, they don't care whether I'm eating or whether, you know, whatever. Right. And then I've talked to some young people who say, well, my mother, she's always throwing up in my face everything she did for me since the day she brought me home from the hospital. And like, at this point, I'm sick of hearing it. So we have a running joke between me and my youngest son. If he'll call me, ask me for something, and I'm like, oh my God, boy, like, you know, I don't have $10 for you or whatever. And he'll say, I didn't ask to be here. And then we just bust out laughing. And I'm like, well, I didn't ask you to be here either. And so, you know, we just kind of joke about it, but it's so true, because you know, it's something on both sides. Mothers have to understand that God blessed you with the gift of becoming a mother, but it is not supposed to consume you and damage you and be painful. And every time you think about your kids, all you have is negative thoughts. But on the other hand, your kids are not to be pawns in games that you use to get what you want, whether it be against the father or whatever the case may be. Children are gifts from God, and we have to remember and honor them as gifts. And we have to, one of the reasons I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you go. When I first started this organization, A Mother's Cry, it was born out of, both of my sons were athletes coming up. And they would invite some of their little friends over. And I'm telling you, Miss Vanessa, some of those boys would stay at my house 2 or 3 days at a time. No parent call, no. And I said, where is your mother? Like, because most of them I knew they were from single parent homes. And like, does your mom know where you are? And they would say stuff like, oh, Miss Jamie, she don't care. Like, you know, she's hardly ever home. And that just disturbed me. And so my heart was aching for what is going on with a mother, that her child, her minor child, could be gone for 2 or 3 days and you don't even look for him. You don't even. And so that's where I got the idea of working with the mothers, because I said, if we can get the mothers whole and healthy, then the children's childhood will be better, because they'll be dealing with healthy mothers. And so that's where the whole idea came from. But it's like you say, it's something that has to be balanced out. They are our gifts from God, but they are not to be abused and misused and mistreated. And we don't want them to mistreat and abuse us. And it's like you say, if you can't abide by the rules of the house, then see you. I know my oldest son, I had to put him out when he was 15. And my parents, I put him out to go stay with my parents because he was so disrespectful. But my parents actually got upset with me, didn't talk to me for like a couple of weeks. But, you know, I have to do what I have to do. And then I had a 3-year-old who was watching some of the crazy stuff that his brother was doing. And it's like you said, if I let him get away with it, doing whatever he wanted to do, breaking the law, bringing stuff in my house that shouldn't be in my house and stuff like that, then the 3-year-old is going to grow up saying, okay, well, that's why I'm going to do the same thing. So when God blesses you with these children, he also blesses you to know how to raise them and train them up to be what he wants them to be. But they have choices. They have free will, just like you have.
Right. Let me just say this real quick, because I want to make sure I emphasize this too to mothers. And it's really hard, because sometimes we have some children that have, like, you know, they're sweeter, they're nicer, they try to do, you know, we do have to parent our children based on their personalities, and they do. One of the things I think that bothers me the most, and this is having been on, you know, the mother side and the children's side, is having mothers sometimes that to other children, they go, that's your favorite. Or, you know, you'll have that child where you may do more for one child than you do for the other. Now, if you got a child who's messing up and they ain't doing, I understand, because I'm gonna tell you this, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and let's just look at the fact that if I got money and I'm like saying I'm gonna leave my money and you ain't doing right, I'm not going to leave you. You know, I might help you now, but I'm not gonna say, oh, and then we penalize the children who do the right things. And I have a problem with that. You know, and they'll go, oh, well, you're gonna be okay. The truth about it is that you make a child feel, yeah, they may be okay, but they're like, I'm trying to be the child that you want me to be. I'm trying to do the things that you want. Don't penalize the children who are doing the right thing. And then you give everything to the child who's messing up. You don't want to give that, because then you make the child who's doing right feel like, I'm out here trying to do right, but you like overlooking me, or you're not even paying attention to me, but you're giving all the attention to the one who's doing the wrong. So we just need to be aware of that, to make sure that we're not looking and saying, because you have a child who's doing right, that I'm going to, like, well, forget you, because I'm giving all my attention to the one who, because this is what I say, we are rewarding bad behavior. If I reward bad behavior, what are you going to get? You're going to continue to get bad behavior. But if I basically say, okay, this one is doing what really probably should be done, and you let those other children sometimes see that child is doing right. You know, you're not doing right. You want to get it together, you better get it together. But don't make your children who are trying to be good children, they're trying to do things the way they should, they're out there working and they're taking the money, doing what they're supposed to do. Don't you reward the one who's throwing away stuff, who's always in trouble, always doing this. You're giving all yours to that one, and you're mistreating the ones who are trying to do right. Don't do that, because that hurts deeper than anybody will ever know.
Amen. That is so true. That is so true. Miss Vanessa, I want you to tell those who are listening to us how they can connect with you, how they can contact you.
Okay, well, I do have a website still. Not that people use websites that much, but it's www.vanessadavisgriggs.com. Most people find me on Facebook, which I am up on the Facebook up under Vanessa Davis Griggs. So I love having new people. Now, you know, we got these trolls now that are coming in and taking pictures of other folks and putting out, you know, I almost want to put a note and just say this. If you are in a military suit and you ain't got no other friends, or you selling Bitcoin, don't even bother, because I'm not going to be entertain you. If you have a yacht and you saying you're a widower, like I'm supposed to believe, all of a sudden, when they do, what they do originally is send you messages. Hey, you look so good. I sure would like to. I'm trying to get with me a good woman. Well, baby, you looking at the wrong one. So you might well keep on sailing, because I am not being bothered. I don't fall for that junk. So I'm just saying, people, be wise. Be wise. Be like an eagle, be like a dove. Y'all need to learn how to, like I said, I'm gonna be wise, but be like an eagle, fly above all this stuff. Fly above all the problems, fly above all the turbulence, fly above all the idiots. Don't get caught up with people who are trying to do you harm, because the truth about it is that you get to be the one in control of this. And we need to have good sense, and good sense say, you know what, just call, you look so good and you married. You sent me a friend request. Did you not see that it said I was married? Then you should have read that before you came over here. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Let me get myself together. I absolutely enjoyed our conversation today. Helped to relax me quite a bit, and I appreciate that. Such words of wisdom. And I asked the Lord when I came up with this idea of talking to mothers, I said, I want to speak with mothers who are doing something, who can inspire other mothers to go after their dream and not to give up, but also women who have the heart of God, that love God and that are willing to hear his voice and to encourage other mothers how to do the same. And just such an inspiration. I'll tell you, you said at the beginning, I met you, was introduced to you as an author, but I've come to know you as a powerful woman of God. And I'm so encouraged and blessed by you. I really, really am. And I thank you for taking the time to do this. I know you and several other women that I've reached out to, you have a life. I mean, I joke about it sometimes. Like, I tell my sister, I'm talking on the phone and she says, okay, I got to go now because I work. And I said, well, yes, well, somebody got to work, because I'm just sitting here doing much of nothing. So I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
You're so very well. And let me ask you this. I don't know if you are time constrained with the Zoom, but I see you have a few people that are on Zoom. If you had anybody who has a question, I don't mind answering the question if there is anybody.
I don't have a time restraint. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want you to get sick of me. Okay. Any of the ladies who are on here with us, first of all, thank you for joining me today as I speak with my sister friend. And if you have a question for Sister Vanessa that you'd like to ask her, please unmute yourself and ask the question. We got to take advantage of having a courier. We got her captivated right now. Okay.
But I have a question. Vanessa, can you tell us what your favorite book is? The favorite book that you wrote out of the collection of the many books that you have written. Can you tell me what your favorite book is and why?
Okay, I'm gonna make this into that mother thing. The truth about it is, any mother would know. If you ask who is my favorite child, I'm not gonna name a favorite child, because the truth it is, all my children have their own special thing, and I love every single one of them for a special reason. So, but if I were to say which book that one of the books I liked, of course, was Wings of Grace. But for me, a lot of it has to do with I do like Redeeming Waters. Like I said, all of my books, they have their own personal thing that I love about them. They were all given to me by God, so of course I'm going to love them. Forever Soul Ties, Ray of Hope. I have the books that I have, which is with the Blessed Trinity. Hi, there's my Aunt Clara. Hey, Aunt Clara. she just popped in. But
Oh,
the truth about it is that, like I said, all of my books, when you look at Strongholds, I love Strongholds because of the impact that it had on people's lives. I love Blessed Trinity because I was able to introduce people to mental health type issues. I love If Memory Serves because it also shows us, now that's the powerful book with mother part, where you can have a mother who may not do what they're supposed to do, but you have that child that will still come out okay. I love, oh my goodness and mercy. I loved Goodness and Mercy because you had this child who was not saved, didn't know about God, and then, as too many people do, when you give your life to the Lord, and after you've given your life to the Lord, sometimes people think, oh, everything's going to be great. Everything is not going to be great. Anybody who knows anything about what's going on, when the devil knows that he's lost some attachment or contact that he had with you now, he really wants to come at you hard. So
yes.
to have this character who gave her life to the Lord, and when things were happening, it's easy to go back to what we used to do, and for you to go, oh no, I'm going to stay on this course. I don't care what. I love that about that character. To have people who said, there were times where they said that I grew up as a PK, a preacher's kid. And they told me one time after they finished reading Goodness and Mercy, because they had been upset about stuff that happened at the church, they said, I rededicated my life to the Lord. When you have books that are touching people's lives in a way, that's what I love about that. Okay.
Great answer. Great answer. Anyone else want to ask a question?
Hi, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say hello to Vanessa and to let you know that you gave some wonderful words of encouragement and the message was well delivered as usual.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate that. And I thank you for popping in on with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
It's been great. I loved it.
Crystal. I'm glad you all popped in. As I said at the beginning, for those of you who heard from the beginning, this is my first time doing this. I wasn't really sure if I had planned to, connect it with Facebook so everybody could see, the conversation. But I didn't think about sharing the link so people could come and be a part of our conversation. So thank you, Ms. Vanessa, for reminding me of that, so I can do that from here on out.
Yeah, that'll be good, because a lot of times people, they may see, oh, you're doing Zoom, but they don't have the link. So, so like I said, I did try to put it on my page, but that's the thing. They may not have known where to come. So they didn't know how to get over. And that will sometimes, keep people from being able to do. But the thing about it is, like I said, I have enjoyed, because I see Felicia. You see Felicia, the one with the PH, that's Felicia. Felicia is she's my, let me see, what can I say? She's my daughter still. She is she's the mother of some of my grandchildren. And I just absolutely adore her. She and we did some things the other probably the year before COVID hit, where we did little where people came together and we did these planners and things like that. So we kind of did that together. Of course, Katrina is my good friend. She's here in Alabama as well. So I see they both were on, and I'm glad to have them here. Like I said, my Aunt Clara, the one that said Evelyn, she was on, but I saw her with the hand raised up, but I don't know if she was trying to ask a question, and then she clicked out. So I don't know what was going on with that, but I have enjoyed this so much. I don't know if anybody else had any other questions.
Anybody else have anything else you want to say?
I don't have a question, but good to see you, and I really enjoyed the message.
Thank you.
That's cute. All right. Well, I appreciate you ladies. I really do. I ask that you keep me in prayer as I journey on, is what I often say. Each week is something different, but we're journeying on and we're trusting God. Even in this season of health challenges, God is still God, and He can still use us. Sometimes we have to adjust our methods for ministry, but as long as we have breath, we still have a responsibility to give God the glory with our life. And there are people like you, Ms. Vanessa, that encourage me on those days when I just feel like, okay, this is enough. And somebody said to me the other day, well, everything you're going through is it's not just about you, it's a testimony for other people. I said, listen, I have enough testimonies. Thank you very much. And if it's for somebody else, let them have it. Like, why I had to have it before they did get the message. But God is God, and he knows what he's doing.
Well, let me say this about you. What I love about you is I see you sometimes when people come at you and they coming with that little spiritual stuff and be trying to act like they're going to hold people account. You will let them know what they really need to know. And I appreciate that because, you know, there people are like, oh, as Christians, you should do this. And as Christians, folks will do that sometimes to try to control you. And the thing about it is we have to know, I'm going to say this. There was a time when Jesus went to the temple. Yes. They were out there selling, and it wasn't because they were selling that he threw it over. It's because they were taking advantage of folks. God turned those, Jesus turned the tables over. So the truth about it is when people be like, well, you're not acting Christian, sometimes you have to turn over some tables.
Hello. I know that's right. Everything is not all about, oh, I love you, kumbaya, let's join hands. No. So I just thank God for, again, just being God and his faithfulness. And today you really, really, really blessed me. Like this is like a boot in the arm. Like I'm just really, really encouraged today. And I thank you so much for spending.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Keep me in your prayers, ladies.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.